It's another fine day at Camp Dynasty. I am Counselor Austin, joined by Counselor Collin. And the reason I'm laughing is because we took a week off because I was sick and I just forgot how to podcast apparently in that week. It feels like it's been 7 years. My cadence on the intro was way off. I did not do my vocal exercises apparently or something, but we're here to just have a good time this week, I think.
Yeah, I think you come back a little bit, almost like refreshed a little bit, but it also got to get back into the swing of things, get back into the routine where we've been here, week in and week out since last summer. So you take a week off, it feels like you've been gone for a long, like a summer.
Yeah.
And so we get on here and we like catch up a little bit, like, hey, how's your week been? It feels like had like a laundry list of things to talk about, and we haven't talked in only like 2 weeks. So, fun stuff. A lot of stuff going down since actually we last talked. Training camp fully underway. Probably a lot of college football grinded while you were sick. You get a feel for the class a little more. So yeah, well, what's going on here?
I mean, by the way, college football 26
Yeah.
really pissing me off.
I honestly like one of the more difficult games I've ever played. Like I play quarterback on that game, and I feel like I'm like, yeah, these guys are really good at football because I can't read a field apparently.
I saw the Des Bryant thing that was like all the streamers hate it because they have to know how football works
Yep.
to play the game. But I'm like, that I think that's true to a degree. It's certainly harder than the last game in terms of like there aren't really spam play. Like you
Yeah,
can't just like call a play and
and
it's
it's gonna
like this
work.
is the play that
Yeah.
works every time. But I've also just started to go into instant replay after like sacks or runs that are like 6 yard losses and watch my tackle just like
Have an
get
aneurysm.
out of his
Yeah.
stance and just stop moving,
Yeah.
and the DN just runs by him. I'm like, "Oh, so that's why it felt like I had no time to throw on this
Yeah.
play." 'Cause
Or like the one time you finally everything goes right and your guy just drops it. It's like, all
yeah.
right, all right, cool. Yeah.
So, it's been a little bit of an interesting experience on the game, that's for sure, but more importantly is that training camp has kicked off and football season is kind of actually here now. I mean, it's not the preseason hasn't started, but it feels like once training camp has kicked off, it's like we're back, like we're doing it. Matt LaFleur is screaming at players on the practice field, and it's like this is all I needed in my life.
Yeah.
But with that has
Well,
also,
we're recording on July 30th. Tomorrow is the Hall of Fame game.
oh my god,
Yeah. So like
that is
NFL
tomorrow.
football is played tomorrow.
Oh my god, it creeps up on me every
I
year.
think we
I'm
get
like,
like Trey Lance for
yes.
real. Omari and Hampton will actually get some action according to reports. So that's exciting.
What more can you ask for? Honestly,
Not at this point. Like I'd take
nothing.
anything.
Yeah. Especially because the months and months where there is no actual football being played is just filled with people trying to fill the space and talk about football, kind of like we're doing right now. But I'm thinking about the folks over the last like 4 weeks or so that have been like, last year I told you that you should draft Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that worked out pretty good, didn't it? So why don't you listen to me again? Follow and like every tweet in my 18 tweet thread where I tell you to draft all the good players.
Yes. Yeah. That it's my favorite of like genre of engagement farmer of like, I told you to smash Jamar Chase last year. And if you would have listened, look where that got you. He got the triple crown. So this year, here's my list of guys to draft. And it's like Justin Jefferson and Bijan Robinson and Lamar Jackson. It's like, all right, man. Like, is this what we're doing? But yeah, this is what we're doing because that it works apparently. People get mad and you reply, and then you get money from Elon Musk. So
Yeah.
whatever works.
I mean, it like in all seriousness, like I understand like being here and contributing to the mass of noise
Yeah,
that's coming from the dynasty community. Like it's a little bit hypocritical, but at the same time, what really bothers me is how like we get these tweet threads coming out and it's just like it's no longer about the game,
yeah,
like it's like I told like if they had like a third round guy from last like a rookie that
yeah.
broke
Right.
out or whatever, it's like they're like I told you to draft him, man, so like you should like probably listen to what I have to say about it. But it's like we're not even talking about the game anymore. We're just talking like we're throwing darts at the board, and whatever sticks, you're going to run with that for the next 6 months and try to con as many people as you
Yep.
can. It's like let's talk about football, man. Like I
Yeah.
just
Well, it's also like it feels. It's almost like the Green Goblin mask, like talking to you, like as a content
it
creator,
is. It
of
is.
like you could just do this, and like it would just immediate 10,000 likes on your post because everybody wants to be mad at you, and like then it spreads to more people, and it's like I just don't want to be a part of that part of that problem.
I just want to talk ball.
Yeah.
I just want to watch these rookies and or the prospects and just talk about them every week. And you know what? If we might victory lap every now and again, but you're not going to see me with my solid color Twitter background, Abby, telling you to follow my account for more secret tips like drafting Jamar Chase.
And the good news is we get to do just that today.
That's
So then we
right.
can victory lap this in 1 year's time.
That's exactly why we're doing this. Yes. What are we doing? Well, you know it because it's the title of the episode, but we are uh, now 2 weeks ago, we unveiled our first top 12s for the 2026 Dynasty rookie class. We compiled all of our summer scouting into one first round big board. And now, today, we do a mock draft. But in the interest of not just repeating, because we don't have real landing spots to throw anything off, we are going to be taking some landing spots and draft positions as well, which is also a very important part of it, from an NFL mock draft, courtesy of Tankathon, who is,
Shout out.
at shout out seriously because every spring you're going to them to get the draft order and make sure you know what's going on in the draft. But in the summer and the fall, you can be going there for NFL mock drafts as well. And they are one of the few that is uh, putting out a 3 round 2026 mock in July
Yep.
of the year before. So
The real
uh,
sickos.
they are real sickos, and we love them for that. And we have a more players than we even need to talk about for a 1 round, way too early dynasty rookie mock for 2026. So this should be a fun little thought exercise, a little fun discussion, and to encourage that discussion, we are not going to be alternating picks here. We are going to be doing this war room style because you have your take on this class. I have my take. In some cases, it's wildly different. And in a lot of cases, the mock draft that we're referencing today is even different than both of our boards.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different opinions that are going into creating this mock draft, but we are going to kind of let the spots and the landing and the draft position influence kind of what we're thinking for this mock draft.
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna because I'd say there's a lot of different folds that this brings in. You're like, yeah, you guys just did rankings. What are we doing with a mock draft? Like, isn't that kind of the same thing? And like, I don't fully disagree, but you take what you see here and you're like, okay, where are these guys going in mock drafts in terms of positioning, like you mentioned, where it's like, oh, I'm pretty shocked that this guy's getting mocked here, but like maybe that's like if he does end up going there, then how does that change how we see the player and the class as a whole, and how many of this position are going in the top 2-3 rounds? How many like which guys seem to be consensus higher at the end of the season? And if they end up there, then what does that mean we can infer about that player's season? So I think there's more wrinkles with this class, and it kind of gets us outside of like, the echo chamber of like us just talking back and forth about these guys, and then you guys throwing a comment down there. It's like, all right, let's get outside of our own heads and see what the big picture of this class looks like.
Yeah, especially in a class like this, it's very important because we were different just between ourselves, and now you see kind of, Tankathon isn't like Daniel Jeremiah, but like there's clearly a different sense of the class from their angle than
Mm-hmm.
from our angles as well.
Yep.
And the other part of this too is, I mean, the NFL season is kicking off tomorrow.
Yep.
Like we're fully back, and so let's talk a little bit about the teams and the needs and the fits. And it's a little early, but man, football's back.
God
Let's
bless. Let's
enjoy it.
go.
All right. Well, let's kick it off then with 101. And Colin, I don't think this one, landing spots included, requires any sort of debate. But just so that you are aware, Jeremiah Love went in the first round of this mock draft. He went 15th overall, and to the team that has been relentlessly mocked running backs for 2 years,
Yeah.
now going on 3 years with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. If this were to happen, this would be like one of the most obvious 101s like ever. It already is, if you've been listening, like it's been, the Jeremiah Love show for like the rankings, the running backs episodes. This is just the guy that is 101. And, we said the last couple of years, like we had it etched in stone with Bijan, with Marvin, that it was assumed that they were going to be 101, and then they ended up being. Last year, it was a little bit tumultuous until about mid-season, and then it was Ashton Genty 101 pretty much for the rest of the way. This year, it seems again that we have a guy that's a runaway favorite to be 101, and we'll see if that holds true through the draft. But especially if he goes, middle of the first round, 15 overall, to the Cowboys, where they're trotting out Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams and whoever else is in that backfield. Like, if he goes in there, it's also going to be another situation of like where Genty goes to the Raiders and there's literally nobody else that's going to compete with him for touches. So, yeah, I think this does nothing to change it, but it also like does everything to solidify it.
Yeah, it is once again, but now the like 8 months too early version of Ashton Genty's getting mocked to the Cowboys at 12. Now we're getting Jeremiah Love to the Cowboys at 15. It's too easy, but of
Yep.
course but maybe he's not even going to be there.
Yeah,
That's the
right.
question. So, but for today, yes, this is very easy. Sprint the card in. Jeremiah Love goes number 1 in this class. Number 2, maybe the door has opened for this to be a little bit interesting. However, you and I both had Jordan Tyson as our number 2 player in the class, and we were pretty emphatic about that being like a 1-2 punch at the top of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Tyson was not the first wide receiver taken in this mock draft. He was the second, and he still went 20th overall to the Broncos. Wide receiver 1 was Carnell Tate, and that was 14 to the Cardinals. Now, there's a very interesting discussion that can happen in the, how did Carnell Tate end up here? And I think that's part of this exercise is like, this is 8 months away and there's a whole college football season in between now and then. And these players that have a lot to prove can prove it. And a player like Tate, I think we've talked about through the last few weeks, like is a player that has been stuck behind guys and hasn't really gotten to show his true stuff. He could show it this year. He could be the number 2 behind Jeremiah and show it and earn this sort of a draft capital. However, are you convinced that even under those circumstances that you would select him over Jordan Tyson as it sits today?
I like so in this situation, Carnell Tate goes 14 to the Cardinals, and Jordan Tyson goes 20 to the Broncos. Um, I mean I like obviously the higher draft slot and the landing spot a little better for Carnell Tate. He ends up being a number 2 receiver to another Ohio State receiver, most likely, and with Arizona, maybe even number 3 behind McBride. I mean, I think that's a pretty realistic thing. Tyson walks into the Broncos room, does a lot of things that Sutton does, and Sutton just got extended for 3 years, so that's even a little bit of a weird fit too. So I think this would like these landing spots would have me kind of scratching my head a little bit, but it would also lend me to say which player do I have more faith in that's going to be better, and I think it's pretty easily Jordan Tyson.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think given how close this is,
Yeah,
the 6 draft spots, Tyson is still going top 20. I think, yeah, Tyson would be the pick here. I do agree with you. I think both of these spots are a little bit interesting. Cardinals probably a little bit better, but I think Tyson, like, I would imagine that in this mock draft, it's like we don't know what Pat Bryant looks like.
right.
Devon Vele is going to be 29 at the time.
29-year-old in the sophomore season.
So, I mean, even with the Sutton extension, I think there's still like it's very unclear how the Broncos wide receiver room looks. Marvin Mims, what is that going to look like? He's playing from the slot anyway. So yeah, I think I'm not really dissuaded from taking Tyson here, and it doesn't sound like you are either.
No,
So let's lock in Jordan Tyson 102. So far, it is going right along with our board.
right,
But here's where it's going to get a little shaken up, I think, because in 3 rounds, our consensus number 3 player, if you didn't listen last week, was Jonah Coleman, running back from Washington. We know he's kind of like a my guy type of deal right now. He's the size
it's a Camp
question.
Dynasty favorite.
He's a Camp Dynasty favorite. And somehow we both landed on that without talking about it at all.
Yeah,
But it doesn't appear that the folks at Tankathon feel the same way because Jonah Coleman did not get drafted in 3 rounds. And so there's no way for us to know what the landing spot is, but we do know that he was a day 3 pick.
right, which changes things a lot.
So you would be like we're hard out. We're not drafting off the big board because of this.
I'm not gonna take a guy that's drafted in the 4th round, 3 overall in my dynasty draft. Like
Yeah.
as much as I love a player, like this has happened before. Of like I love a guy and he goes, this Braylon Allen, Devin Neal, Malachi Corley. Like you go back through the list and it's like I love this player. I believe in this player. They get drafted in the 4th, 5th round. It's like, okay, you got to readjust expectations now. Like, I'm going to have an opportunity to get him later in the draft. There's no sense in me even, like, spending this high of draft capital on him. And also, like, obviously, there's something that I'm not seeing that is, like, but obviously pretty real if the NFL's going here. And, like you said, like, this is another aggregates like opinion on this, and like so it's not the NFL's opinion, but if we're not seeing them top 3 rounds, and we're operating as if that's law, I'm not taking him 3 overall.
So in that case, then, which name is jumping out at you? We talked about Carnell Tate going 14th. We also have another running back that went in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Are your eyes going in that direction?
That's where I was heading. Is Nick Singleton goes 24 overall to the Commanders, and I know you might be a little more hesitant on Singleton than I am, but I think it's a player that we both like have emotional attachment to, just because of what he means to Camp Dynasty. And it's like, if he goes 24 overall, what does that mean for this season? And the scarcity of running backs in this class, the fact that like we had a running back slotted here, so like maybe we just swap Singleton in, and like assuming he had a great season, he improved, he has better vision, with the athleticism kind of, the juice is back a little bit. I don't know. So that's where I would lean. I don't love Carnell Tate's upside enough to like take him this high. So it gets really weird already, which is kind of a testament to this class.
It's on brand
Yeah.
based on how we've talked about the class, that's for sure. But I think, within this is obviously this is, I'm assuming whoever put together this mock draft, like this is kind of like their their rankings
Yeah.
at this point, because there's really nothing else to go off of at this point. However, if we think about this as like, okay, this is what happened
Yeah.
in the NFL draft. And I think it makes sense to do that because it kind of illustrates like if this is where others are thinking about a player like Singleton, like Singleton could have the season that gets him to this spot.
Right.
Like he was, I don't remember, I think he was 5 for me. And that really came with the caveat of like he's 5. It's because it's like not a great running back class, but I still think like there's hope here. I think he got better from 23 to 24. It wasn't as much improvement as I was hoping to see from him, but he did have some big moments at the end of the season in the college football playoff. So maybe there's some momentum there. And this Penn State team, the offense is going to be looking pretty good, I think. Aller's back. They got a bunch of transfer wide receivers that should be pretty good for them. And then, of course, we still have the 1-2 punch with Singleton and Katron Allen. So this offense is absolutely loaded. Singleton could certainly have that monster breakout season. It will completely depend on what that looks like, though. Like is he playing running back at a higher level than he's been playing for the last 2 years? Like it can't just be, oh, he had another 1,000-yard season. Like we're golden, like he had 1,000 yards last year, but he was playing in a very Nick Singleton fashion, which is I am just a better athlete than most of the players on the field.
Yep.
If we see him take that step forward as a running back, I don't think there's anything stopping him from having a rise like this. Maybe it's not the first round, but certainly like top of day 2, top of round 2, and that alone would put him in this conversation in this kind of a draft class. So I think based off of how this mock fell, and we can make those assumptions, we're kind of like we're really big braining this
Yeah.
thing, like seeing into the future. Like Nick Singleton finally broke out. I think I'm with you that I would take him here at 103.
Also, Commanders would be kind of sick.
Yes.
Like, talk about a dynamic backfield of like pick your poison between him and Jaden Daniels, and gets pretty interesting pretty fast.
Yep, like Brian Robinson's been like a decent stopgap guy. Eckler is doing whatever he's been doing. There's a reason why so many people are trying to talk you into Jakrowski, Corey Merritt right now, because like
Don't let him do that, guys. Just
it's,
don't let that happen.
opportunity is everything for running backs, but man, I don't know if that's the one to hitch your wagon to. I'll
Yeah,
eat my words if I'm wrong, but maybe in a year's time it
I
will
won't
be.
eat my words. I'll be stubborn about that. I'll be like, no, that's still a bad idea. I don't care that he was the RB1.
All right. So outside of the Camp Dynasty bubble,
Yep.
Nick Singleton has gone 103 in this Dynasty rookie mock
I'd
draft.
be
And
happy if
now,
that happened.
yeah, me too. It would make this class a lot more exciting
Yeah.
if Singleton became that sort of a player. So 104, we've been throwing out the name Carnell Tate a lot, but I don't think we have to force it if you're not ready for that, because I know you have a player ranked ahead of him, and I also have that player ranked ahead of him, and that player also went in the first round and plays wide receiver, and his name is Antonio Williams. He went number 30 to the Bills. So I think right now the conversation for me personally would be between those two players. Is there another name that you're considering?
Um, I mean, no, not like I want to bring up Eli Stowers, but it's a little too
Yeah.
early given the spot that he went in this mock where he went 210 to the Dolphins.
Just still good.
I love that landing spot to the Dolphins. I love the player obviously, and high second round is not bad draft capital for a tight end. So that name is the only other one that's popping out at me because I know you had Stowers a little lower than I did in our rankings, but just a name that's coming up in my queue.
So between Tate and Williams, I think right now we both have Williams ranked ahead.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 16 spot difference. The landing spots are, I mean, the Bills is a better spot, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have like you have the MVP at quarterback. You
Yeah.
have who's catching balls there these days? Keon Coleman and
Khalil Shakir.
Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid. Like Antonio Williams would feel pretty good in that room.
Yeah.
He is a little bit redundant to Shakir. Is the only thing that would like raise a couple flags for me. But like I still like it. Well, it's kind of the same as like the Cardinals landing spot of like Carnell Tate probably falls in line behind Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride. It's like
Right.
I don't really love that. And then you got Kyler throwing to him, who is like gonna put up way less production than Josh Allen. So like, I like Antonio Williams more as a player. So if we're going as a tiebreaker,
yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I like it's July, but like, can I please scream like just they would not take Williams. They just signed Shakir. That's
yeah,
so
right.
wrong. Like, but
there's no way the Bills do this.
I mean, they do need wide receiver help. It was a common once again this year to mock. They took Keon Coleman 2 years ago. We're still mocking them wide receivers this year. They didn't really add anybody of significance through the draft. Amari Cooper, that experiment failed, and he's still a free agent. So I think the Bills' spot is a good one. Williams is a player that today would be higher on my board. And so I think I'm with you that I would take him here at number 4.
Okay. I'm cool with that.
All right. So Antonio Williams goes number 4.
We gotta stop the slide here.
Stop the slide. 105.
I think you got to. If he goes 14 overall.
Yeah, well, that's true. I'm just trying to make sure that there's nothing else.
You want the slide. You're at the water park for the slide.
Yeah. All right. All right, we'll stop the slide.
Pitch me on something. Pitch me on something.
No, it's fine.
We're in the draft room,
I was like ready to just like go. I was gonna make like a crazy pitch for Arch right now.
So that's the only other name that I'm ready to entertain right now.
So Arch did go 101 in this draft to the Saints, carrying on his grandfather's legacy in New
Good
Orleans.
luck, buddy.
Um, but yeah, no, again, it's like the conversation with Singleton. If Tate went 14, it means that he had the season that would like
Yeah.
he had that year that makes him worthy of this sort of a draft position because like I said before, it's just like it's a lot of unknown with Tate right now. He just hasn't had that role in this offense yet. He's got the recruiting background. We know that he's a great athlete. He's got, height. Maybe there's a little bit of room to add some weight to his frame still, but I think there's a lot of, aspects of Tate that you can see today from very limited action and say, yeah, I could see him being maybe like the breakout player of this draft. And I think that's why a lot of people are mocking him in a position like this, because I think they're sort of baking that in already, where we tend to be a little bit more cautious about it and think like, well, we got to get there first. But I think in this case, we can assume that he got there and he got top 15 draft capital because of it. So I'm okay with taking him here at 5.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Is I like Tate a little more as a player. Like I don't love him this much, but if he ended up being like a really really good number 2 option for this Ohio State team behind Jeremiah Smith, and he put up like some pretty eye popping numbers, then you can consider him middle of the first round for sure. So like you know, with a landing spot like this, the Cardinals, where he's not going to be relied upon to be a number 1 guy, and he can just operate as like a free roaming kind of like move receiver, I feel like you can be pretty confident that he'll be a good fantasy asset. So while yeah, this is a little high and the landing spot's a little weird, it's just like he went 14 overall in this world, in this universe that we're living in. And so you kind of got to just respect it.
Yeah, I'm in. And 106. So I feel like we might be hitting a crossroads point here, though,
Okay.
because I think you're ready to pitch me on Stowers.
Okay.
And I think I'm ready to pitch on Arch.
I'm ready to pitch on a third party,
Oh, okay.
and it's Lenora Sellers.
Ooh. So what you said 2 weeks ago,
Yeah,
where
it's
you were
already
like, it's going
happened.
to take 2 weeks, and according to this, it did happen because he went 8th overall in the draft. So
Yeah,
you're ready to do it today.
that's what I'm saying. Is like if we're living in the world where he went 8 overall to the Raiders, and like yes, Arch went 1 overall, and Arch is higher on my board, but like if Sellers puts it all together and he's a top 10 pick and he's going to be the Raiders starter either this year or next year, if Gino like has one bridge year, then like I'm kind of all in. Like if he's ready to roll like this already, and a team's taking a chance on him top 10, then that means that he had the season that I need to see out of him. So like I'm wheels up for Lenora Sellers as in the silver and black next to Ashton Genty. Like just Brock Bowers, Genty, Sellers, put it in my veins, man.
I mean, that would be that if Raiders fans like if you want to get your hopes up this far in advance, just have them crushed. Like I wouldn't blame you
There's a
because
reason they call it fantasy football, man. That's
right. It's a perfect spot, obviously. I mean, Geno Smith is going to be a fine, hopefully a fine, bridge quarterback for the next couple seasons, but they're going to need to get the guy in there. And I think in this case they did. What's interesting though is that Sellers was QB4 in the draft. He went 8th overall, but he was the 4th quarterback drafted. We had Arch go number 1, like we said, but Garrett Nussmeier went 105. He was QB2. And then Drew Aller went 107, followed by Sellers at 108. So, I mean, part of me is like, if Sellers goes 105, or if he's QB4, did he have the season?
Fair.
Or is he being drafted as like, well, we've seen enough,
We,
but you know, because I
I
feel like if he has the season, he's going 102.
that's fair. And in this situation, the Browns have 102, so like they have their quarterback situation figured out. So they don't need
Right.
Lenora Sellers. And then the Titans are 103. They actually like they got Ward, so they're pushing their chips in on Ward. 104. I don't see. I whatever. It's not listed.
It was an offensive tackle, I think.
There we go. They probably need that. Whoever took them. Let me see. The
Caden Tucker
Giants.
went to the Giants.
Yes. And I mean, that would be the spot where it's like, oh, why'd they pass on Lenore Sellers? You know, because they really believe in Russ and Jackson Dart, maybe. But yeah, Drew Aller, I'm sure we'll talk about later. Arch Manning, obviously. So maybe that's true. It's like, yeah, he's QB4 in the class, and so maybe you don't take him. But I feel like if we're going top 10 and we're getting also a year to wait, well, maybe you don't take Sellers if you have to wait a year.
I think it's a little bit like, I know that it's different because it's QB1 versus QB4, not QB1 versus QB2, but I feel it's a little bit reminiscent to like Caleb versus Daniels
Right.
to me, where it's like you have, presumably this guy on the top that is, everyone's going to throw out the G word, the generational word with him. And then you're going to have a guy like Sellers who has like a lot of things that you love. And he has this, an even higher rushing ceiling than what Arch does. So then I think people are going to get excited about that. And then I think people might start being like, well, take Sellers over, but at the same time, I think we landed on Caleb the whole way. Whether or not that was correct, still,
TBD.
jury's out. But in this case, I just feel like he was our QB1. He went 101.
Yeah. You're right. I shouldn't overthink it.
I'm glad that you did, though, because I'm glad that, this season, this theoretical season that happened did in fact sway you on Sellers being in the QB1 mix.
That's right. The true like final boss of the Justin Herbert conversation of like what if. That's just this whole episode, just hypothetically.
Yeah, this is Camp Dynasty what if, like the Marvel what if.
Yeah. Don't sue us, Disney.
No,
We're just
please.
small.
No, that
he didn't mean that.
I didn't. I take it back. All right. So did we just take Arch?
We took Arch. Took Arch 6.
Okay. So 107. Are we going to talk about Sellers here, or do you want to talk about Stowers?
I don't know. Now I'm scared to take Sellers because he's going to sit behind Geno for a year, and he is QB4. And I really like the Dolphins landing spot for Stowers.
I mean, it's great.
I would like to get a wellness check on Tua Tagovailoa. Is what I would, after another year of football, to see if he's still, all right,
he's still doing the thing, and
if he's still okay.
Does he have active brain waves?
Did he make it through a season without like slamming his head on the turf? That's all I need to know. And like, if he did, then I'm like ready to roll for Stowers here. If not, well, I feel a little differently. So that's where I'm at hypothetically.
I have Sellers higher right now in my rankings, but you might be able to sway me on Stowers here.
Yeah.
I really like the spot. The Dolphins is a great spot. He went 210, 42nd overall. I mean, I do think back to like Michael Mayer, Sam Laporta, like they went just a hair higher than this, and they fell to the second round. I just don't know if that's going to happen in this class because of the talent discrepancy, but I do wonder if still going in this range of the NFL draft would push him down the board.
Yeah, that's the only thing is like I could see him being available later just because people see he's drafted in the second round. You can get uh, another one of the quarterbacks, or like even go since it's IDP, like go IDP here. And like I had TJ Parker right around here in my rankings. I know that I think you had him 12, but like when you have positional scarcity and you have uh, you know a chance to take the number one guy at a position, like you could do that. But I I don't mind going Sellers here.
Okay. Well, let me pitch you one more name.
Okay.
Because he was much higher on your rankings than mine, and that's Mackay Hughes.
Okay.
And Mackay Hughes went in the second round of this mock draft.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, 217, pretty good capital for a running back.
Yeah.
And I think if that were to happen, if we're going to keep doing this theoretical dance, to me it would mean that he proved that the jump to the Big 10 was NBD
Yeah.
and that he was still doing the damn thing. And if that happens, I think he's going to have a year of film that gets me really re-energized with Hughes, because he is still my RB3. It's just that I generally was kind of fading the running backs after my top two. But I think if Hughes went in this spot, and he went to the Bears, which is like
Bear down.
another one of these spots where it's like we're talking ourselves into Kyle Monson guy, and there's a reason for that. Like they need a guy there.
Yeah.
So, I what do you think about Hughes here?
I don't mind, mostly because uh, looking at our list here is there's not another running back in the top 3 rounds.
Yes.
So like we talked about Jonah Coleman not being in the top three, and that's because these are the only running backs. There's Jeremiah Love, Singleton, and Hughes. So like if you want a running back and Love and Singleton are off the board, this is the only other guy that you can be confident is like a real player and like isn't a fourth round flyer or a fifth round flyer like Monin guy. So I don't dislike this at all. I'm a little like trepidatious with Sellers because like yeah, I like the player. I like that he went 8 overall. I like that he went top 10. I like that he went to the Raiders. But, there is a world where he's going there to sit for a year behind Geno. And, like, that's just not a guy in a one quarterback league that you take 7 overall. Like, you just don't take a gap year guy that high.
Yeah.
And then, Stowers is fun and everything, but we're not tight end premium. And yeah, he could be fun with the Dolphins, but you gotta. I've been talked into Mackay Hughes. I'm in.
Yeah. I think it's, we are still thinking quite a bit about our rankings here, but at the same time, it's like if a running back goes in that spot,
Yeah.
you're going to take him
Yep.
over a quarterback and a second round tight end. It's just going to happen. So,
That's how the world works.
all right. Mackay Hughes, 107
Yep.
and 108. I mean, we're still going to be talking about the same names here. I think Sellers feels like the one that's been jumping out a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's either Sellers or Stowers. I feel like I think we go Sellers here.
Yeah. Sellers is the highest rated non Jonah Coleman rated player on my board right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think here is where the value in this mock draft starts to line up a little bit more, because all the running backs are gone. The top three all the first round wide receivers are gone. And we've already had 101 off the board
Yep.
with 101 QB off the board. So I think here Sellers 108, just like he was in the NFL draft in this case. We'll take him here in this spot. All right. So then 109, I think Stowers is the only name left that we've actively been talking about that has not been taken yet. Now, there is a part of me here that's like, this is our mock and we
Yep.
will make the pick based on how we see fit. But I'm also trying to think like, what might this look like in like an ADP sort of deal
Yeah.
if this happened? Because I can't get the what happened with Loveland and Warren out of my head, where
Hmm.
like Loveland and Warren were premier
Right.
talents and they went in premier draft slots,
Hmm.
10 and 14 in the NFL draft. Stowers goes 210.
Right.
I mean, 109 is still a very premium position in a one tight end, non tight end premium situation. Like, are we comfortable with that?
Well, so I think like we have some wide receivers here that are high second round wide receivers. And yeah, I know that, we're at 109, but you think back to, some of the guys that went high round two in the NFL draft that went in the like back half of the first round in dynasty drafts. And uh, like, I don't know if Denzel Boston is like the same as T. Higgins. Like, I don't know if that's a thing, but if he's going 202 to the Browns, who again, good quarterback situation, then like I don't feel comfortable with that. But just like bringing some other names into the fold, Eric Singleton Jr. went 208 to the Raiders, who have Geno slash Lenora Sellers. Nick Harbor went 213, which seems pretty high for this player, which means like he kind of put it together a little bit. So just wanted to bring some other names into the fold, and then a name that I mentioned before, T.J. Parker, edge, went to the Rams at or to the Titans at number 3 overall, and this is pretty high for IDP, I'd say, but in a class like this, like Parker is as close to a sure thing as you get at 9 overall.
Yeah, I think it's a demonstration. Like in this case, it's a little like we talking in a vacuum. It's been a little bit more like, man, like these guys are really like the value really falls off. And I
Yeah.
think when we have actual draft positions tied to them, it's like the value starts to fill in a little bit more, but you still end up in this weird tier where it's like, man, I could take an IDP here because like I don't know if I trust any of these guys more than I trust TJ Parker. I
Mm-hmm.
would take Stowers before I took Parker, that's for sure. But I also don't think it's a bad idea to start talking about names like Boston and Singleton. I think Boston is interesting because we haven't really talked about Denzel Boston a ton. We There was a little bit of shade thrown at him on our wide receiver rankings episode, but he is my 7th wide receiver in the draft class. Like I do like Denzel Boston. I think he's a little scary right now because I don't know that I can trust him as an athlete quite yet. I don't think the speed and the burst was really there, but the size is very imposing and he knows how to use it. And there are legitimate routes on his film as well. He's a really intriguing player, and I think if he goes here at the top of the second to the Browns, who I mean, it's
Good landing spot.
it's a good landing spot. It's just weird with the quarterback and the five wide. I mean, I do think it's a good landing spot in the sense that like there's going to be opportunity
Yeah,
available,
yeah.
but like
On his 13 catchable balls a game.
right.
That's what I'm concerned about.
And then Singleton, who is currently higher on my board, he actually was in my top 12
This is
players in my
Eric
top.
Singleton, who's
Eric Singleton
different than
Jr.
Nick Singleton.
Correct. Eric Singleton Jr., who I know is lower on your board, but he went 208 to the Raiders, which is interesting
I like
because
that a lot.
so um
So we go Stowers here, and
okay.
then the wide receivers start joining the conversation. I think.
Yeah. All right. I'm down for that. Stowers 109. Awesome player, awesome landing spot. I think in reality, he might get if he goes to 10, the dynasty community as a whole might push him further down this board, but like we're not letting him slide
Yeah.
past the spot. 110. I think those wide receivers we're talking about, we can put them right into this conversation at 110.
I have a bone to pick with Tankathon also.
Okay.
So Drew Aller was another name that jumps out at me. We both had him.
Yep.
You had him 11. I had him right around there. If I can find it, I had him 12. So both had him back of the round. But they to the Colts. We don't have to do that. All right. Come on, Tankathon.
I
Have
knew
some respect.
as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, Colin's gonna be pissed."
I am pissed. That's that. Like, let the kid get a chance. We all knew Anthony Richardson needs some time. Damn it! It's been 2 years. He's been hurt. Let's relax with the replacing him with Drew Aller. But in the world where he gets drafted number 7 and he replaces Anthony Richardson and Dan Jones, I would start considering him here. Though I think I'd go hit wide receiver first, probably Singleton. I like most out of these options.
Yeah, and you're not going to get an argument from me. He is my number 8, I believe, player right now. So yeah, let's go Singleton 110.
Yep.
111. I think now is where we can bring Aller in. We can bring TJ Parker in because those are players that are higher on our board today
Mm-hmm.
than Denzel Boston. I think going 34th overall, like the Jaden Higgins sort of spot, in a much better draft class, Higgins was going like 13 ish.
Right.
I think it makes sense that Boston would go in this spot, like around this spot. I guess, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about Boston versus like a quarterback or an IDP here?
So the way I see this shaping up, just like how this makes sense, is we get Aller and TJ Parker in to this first round before we go Boston, because like I don't love Boston as a player. I don't love the Browns landing spot either. Like, I understand the draft capital is pretty good at 202, but like if you are like they in this hypothetical draft, the Browns didn't take a quarterback. Like, they're trotting out, Shador and Dylan Gabriel and maybe Joe Flacco for another year. Like, I don't really want to deal with that over Drew Aller, who is like, hypothetically the quarterback of the Colts, or TJ Parker, who's just, wreaking havoc in the AFC South. So I think like you take the sure things rather than a guy you don't really love in a situation you don't really love. It's just kind of hard to root for.
I think
You don't think out loud. This is good podcasting.
I really, you could sway me either way.
Yeah.
Do you have a strong preference on Parker or Aller here?
I think I would go probably Aller over Parker, just for the fact of like, IDP is inherently like a little less valuable than quarterback, but I get like I could be swayed either way, but
Yeah.
I like Aller a lot, and
Yeah.
I think the Colts have done a lot to like surround their quarterback with a lot of help. And so popping Aller in, him and his buddy Tyler Warren can tear some stuff up.
Yeah, I'm in. Let's go Drew Aller, which means that in our rankings, we had 3 quarterbacks in our top 12 in a 1 quarterback format, and even in the mock draft, we are still having 3 quarterbacks go in this format,
Yeah.
which is wild. So, I think it's a we're certainly in for a weird ride with these quarterbacks. I think super flex picks are looking very, very sexy right now.
Yeah.
I think very, very big discrepancy between the two formats in terms of pick value this year.
hmm I think that
Um,
and like tight end premium leagues are going to be a lot weirder
yeah,
than like a standard league.
yeah. Okay, so it seems like with the final 12th pick here, we're going to take TJ Parker,
Yep.
which I don't disagree with. I think that's what's going to happen. I do want to just throw out a name and another IDP name because Anthony Hill Jr. went 12th overall
Yep.
to the Rams. And we have not seen a pure linebacker go that high in the draft in a little while and to a spot that is very good. Like this Rams linebacker spot has been extremely productive for IDP for a long time. And we've been waiting for a guy to, Ernest Jones was there for a hot minute and then they bailed on him. And it's like, we're talking ourselves into Omar Spates and Nate Landman now. And it's like, I mean, I still think we would go with the tier 1 edge. He
hmm
went 3rd overall. He's our number 1 IDP, but this is the sort of situation for Hill that I think like linebacker becomes really relevant again for us. Like we're talking about a linebacker potentially as a first round selection in this sort of a draft class.
Yeah, Jack Campbell went 18 overall to the Lions. That was probably the last time, but like even 12 feels like almost a lot higher than 18. Um, but yeah, this is an ideal situation for an IDP draft if you're looking at like these linebackers going this high, and you're sitting here like kind of champagne problems choosing between TJ Parker and Anthony Hill. Like, what does your team need more? I think would end up being the real answer. But for pure value circumstances, I think you go with the big time tier 1 edge guy over the linebacker, even though like there's not a lot of certified really good linebackers. I think it's a lot of like waiver wire kind of fill-ins and hope that you have a guy that's going to be a starter for a full year.
All right. TJ Parker, 12th overall, and that is our first 2026 Dynasty rookie mock draft of the year.
There
A
it is.
little bit of spice, a little bit of added flair with the landing spots and all of that stuff. I mean, it's just nice to get out of your like we watch the players, we've been talking about the players for over a month now. Like step outside. Like get off the campgrounds and go, touch grass somewhere else
Yeah.
and be like, "Wait a minute. They don't like Jonah Coleman like we like him." Or
And they
uh
love Nick Singleton.
they love Nick Singleton. Or in my case, my number 4 player in the class is Makai Lemon. Makai Lemon was included in this mock draft, but he went in the 3rd round, 307 to the Colts. And I would have brought his name, even with the 3rd round spot, I would have brought his name up towards the back half of the 1st round. The Colts is just a really, really weird spot
Yeah.
because the overlap with Josh Downs is just it's weird. So would it actually happen in real life? I don't know, but in this case, not worth talking about him because we wouldn't have picked him if that were to happen. And once upon a time, there's a lot of players that we didn't think would go there.
Yeah.
Like they really took him. That's a
I
little redundant, and then they did.
Yep. That is like a big reason why doing this is valuable, because you, or at least I do. Don't want to speak for everybody, but you kind of think of these prospects as best case scenarios of picks in your pocket. Of like, this guy, I'm going to take the best wide receiver, and it's going to end up being the guy that changes my team. And while that's hopefully true, it could very well end up being weird, being Jerry Jeudy, where you just assumed that he was going to be fantastic, and he ended up in a decent spot with the Broncos. Like, yeah, he had to share with Sutton, but it just kind of ended up being weird. And so it kind of puts you into the mindset of like, what if things don't go how I want and expect them to go? And what if, Jonah Coleman, who I've assumed is going to be my RB2, goes in the 4th round? Then, like, how do I adjust my sights on the class? And that's why this kind of thing is a little more valuable than you might think, because it gets you outside of your frame of reference. And so I think that's always a good thing.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And I think, especially at this point in July, like the class is very fluid. Like there's nothing that we know for certain.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we've been talking about our top 12 positional rankings, like a lot of stuff. We've been saying it, and it's true. A lot of stuff's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
And here's an example of things that could change,
Right.
and what might the class look like at that point in time. But in reality, it's mostly just a way to get ourselves back into thinking about these players as actual draft prospects that are tied to teams, because that's what it's all about here in Dynasty Fantasy Football. And those teams are going to be hitting the field very soon.
Tomorrow.
2 of them as soon as tomorrow. So today, if you're listening
That's
to this
right.
on the day it came out, and by the
I
way,
envy you.
I should speak on that because we didn't really mention it, but like if you've gotten used to listening to Camp Dynasty on Tuesdays, we're changing.
Yeah.
This isn't like I wanted to, I was kicking my feet up for an extra couple days this week. No, we are Thursdays are our new release day, so just
sorry if your beginning of the week is a little dry.
Yeah. When we get into the college football season, if you're like coming out of one week and it's like, man, where's my weekly breakdown? It's like, well, you might have to use it as your warm up for the following week. But
yeah, I don't know. That might be messed up. I don't want to do that to people. I feel bad. Well, we'll see.
Oh, we got a lot of time. Well, actually, not that
really.
much.
Yeah. Just...
All right. Well, if you enjoyed our way too early 2026 Dynasty Rookie Mock Draft 1.0, be sure to find us on Twitter, camp_dynasty, and TikTok at camp.dynasty. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit subscribe and like the video before you skedaddle, because we appreciate it and doesn't take much time for you. So, I'm just saying. It's very free to do that, just saying. But and same goes for the pod feed, where you can like or follow or review or rate or any of the things that they let you do on there. All of it's free once again, and it takes 0.4 seconds. So
exactly 0.4 seconds.
I timed it. We appreciate it if you do any of that. So and with that said, next week we're going to be back. This is a weekly podcast.
Yes.
After all, what are we doing next week? We are doing is that real? Freaks list. Potentially it will be dropping in the coming week, and if it does, we will be hitting on the freaks list next week. If not, if that comes out a week late this year, we might be diving into some Superflex rankings.
Oh yeah.
So either way, the next 2 weeks are going to be a lot of fun as we count down towards college football beginning.
And the Hall of Fame game, look out for, we got Hendon Hooker should be playing.
Oh my God.
Omarion Hampton, Ennis Rakestraw, fun player, Oronde Gadsden, Isaac Tesla, Trey Harris. We got
I mean,
Rocket Sanders, Sion Vaki. So
see, what this is the thing. If you spend time at Camp Dynasty every year, the more years
yeah,
that pass that you spend at Camp Dynasty, the more fun the preseason becomes.
exactly. You
Because
recognize a
now,
whole lot of names of these like washout guys that are going to spend the year on like, getting called up and down from the practice squad. It's like, oh man, if you only had a chance. Rocket
you know,
Sanders, man.
the Gadsden Hive
Yeah.
has a chance to just absolutely go nuclear
If
if he
he,
has like 3
I was
catches.
going to say, if he has like 3 catches and 80 yards, it's going to be like, move Gaston up the rankings.
We told you to draft Gadsden on the sleeper court episode.
Last year we told you to draft uh draft Ashton Genty. Now we're telling you to draft Oronde Gadsden.
Technically, last year and every year before, we told you to draft every player
That's
because
true.
we did a top 48 every year.
Yeah.
So theoretically, it's like, yeah, just
Everybody
draft all these.
except Bo Nix. We told you to
Yes.
draft.
Thanks for stopping by Camp Dynasty this week, and we'll see you next week.